and it was also showing where we are in the spiritual path. So I want to first start with a question. Question here is, what is that which grows? So let's say we use the word growth. So we say my son is growing, or my daughter is growing, or I am growing. So then we talk from height and weight, and we talk from the knowledge point of view that he is in first standard or 10th standard or whatever he's studying. And then we say career growth. So then we say this person is started as an intern and now he's a manager. So the question comes here is that, is there really anything called as growth? Do you really feel that, are you growing? That's a question.
When from mind, when I see from mind and body point, clearly visible. But when I see from my insight point of view, there is no growth. It is same. Externally it is growing. Internally it is same.
Internally, what is same?
Internally same means who is watching this growth? It's me from internally watching the growth. I am talking about that me, who is watching. Because there is no change in my this one. It is same. But knowledge point of view, external, it's growing. Body, it's growing and then decaying also. But overall, when you see this prapancha, everything is changing. In the changing process, it is growing. See, I was watching the tree. During this time, you can see all leaves are falling, and then new leaf comes, greenery. And for me, it is a growth. Tree is growing.
Yeah, does the tree grow? Is there
when I see, yes. When I see, when I
yeah, go ahead.
Branches, root, and its diameter, the size is a physical growth. I can clearly see.
Okay. Fine. So
similarly, a human being from small age till middle age is a growth.
Okay.
Knowledge is a growth throughout for everyone.
Okay. So you can see growth.
I can see growth from my when I see that I'm witnessing.
Okay. So you are witnessing growth. Fine, excellent. What about the other two, Lata and Padmashri?
I don't know. It depends on what you want to call as growth.
No, yeah, go ahead. I gave certain examples also. What is the growth?
Yeah, so I'm just trying to observe my own mind, how it is kind of changing, or I don't know, I can say grow or whatever. So whatever it was 2 years back is not the same now. So in that sense, I can see there is some kind of growth. But
Okay.
otherwise, in the physical sense, whatever Bhatt said, okay, those are all kind of growth in the physical sense. But then if I look at my own mind, how it is kind of changing, then I can see that there is some change. And if you can call that growth or maybe more maturity, that I can observe.
Okay. Good. Nice. What about
As almost Lata, because when I was wanting to ask, I was, what is growth? Meaning, the examples, as per the examples that you gave, increase of height, increase of girth, change in the person is called growth. Then we really see growth, because physically you see the gross matter getting added, or whatever is the change, we see the gross matter changing. So yes, it is. I am able to see growth, meaning I am able to witness growth. But now, if any change is called growth, then there are many changes that happen, not just physical, from a physical perspective. Like the way Lata said about mind, there would be no gross matter getting added, but then there is growth there also. So for me, the definition of growth is what is defining what you witness.
Correct. So mind and body has growth in that sense, right? And the right answer is there is no growth. What do you think? Anybody want to debate with me on why there is no thing called as growth?
When you look at from external as this overall universe, it is same. It is changing the form from one to other. That happens. But it depends on from which angle you are looking at. When I look at, say, the tree, it is growing because it was not there earlier. Now it is bigger than what it was last year. So for me, that from that definition, it is growing. But if we see overall, it is internal adjustment happens. Depends on what kind of question comes from where.
Yeah, from the consciousness point of view, I'm making an intellectual answer now. From consciousness point of view, yeah, that's right. There is no growth.
Yes, that is correct. So if you are that consciousness, then there is nothing called growth. Okay, good till now. So what happens if there is no growth? This is an interesting question now.
When no growth, stand still, no interest, no change, your mind always looks for growth.
Correct. And
There is no growth, you're always in the present, and there is nothing. So always
and time will stop, I think. And no growth means there's
no time.
You can't feel the time.
Okay, so what happens then?
No growth, time will stop. There is nothing to add or remove. There is no work for mind, and mind also drops. When everything drops outside, when there is no interest in outside, you will be there inside only. And that inside is nothing but a place where there is no growth.
Just
experience. Yeah. Just experience.
No, that is correct. So what is the result of that?
Blissful life.
No.
There is no there is no desires, nothing. So there is no movement, there is no anxiety, worries, nothing. There's nothing to be done. So it's a standstill.
That's correct. So what is the result of that?
All that triguna, all these gunas, everything is now dissolved.
Perfect. So what is the result of that?
If we give the answer, then he'll say, why are you jumping? it is that. We will be there.
You are not
where
there.
we are supposed to be there.
Okay. The answer to that is no death. So you
become immortal.
remove death.
That means there is no birth also, right? In that case,
Yes.
birth is still there.
No, birth is not there.
No.
If there is no death, there is no birth.
See, when there is no birth, what is the point in discussing this? Because death will not be there now for no birth. Jatasya maranam dhruvam.
Yes, jatasya maranam dhruvam. So if the marana is removed, there is no birth also.
Yeah, when there is no birth, no question of talking about death. Nothing.
That is correct. But now you have arrived. Now you have arrived. So there will be death for the individuality. But post that, there is nothing called as birth or death.
Yeah, 1 minute. See, with the complete understanding, we know that yes, birth has happened. We are born now. Now coming out without death, is it possible?
No, I don't think so. You understood. So if you experience that state of no growth, right? It's not an intellectual way of looking at it. If you experience no growth, at that moment itself, there is no death. There is no death in the sense that you don't have that time. So what
Yes.
falls down is this casting of the body. Right?
Yes.
So if just you are casting off your clothes, where is death? You are not now changing any more clothes. That's it. So that is the experience of yesterday.
Oh, that's your experience, huh?
That's the reason I told you it's an insight.
Okay.
So the time is there as long as there is growth, because growth is related to time. Within this time frame, you are doing something called as growth. So if you remove the growth, then there is no time. If there is no time, there is no kala, then there is no marana. Correct?
Yeah.
If there is no kala, there is no marana, so that means there is no jati also. So what happens at that moment is that your past is erased, your future is erased, only the present stays. And present stays without attachment. So there is no anxiety. There is no anxiety, worry, restlessness, etc. Okay, so that is what we need to experience. Now the question comes, how to experience? And this is where you can use the beautiful verse of Mandukya Upanishad on deep sleep. Your personality is removed in deep sleep. So the growth is removed every night for everyone. So you are with consciousness. Simple. So you didn't die for that 8 hours. And because you were never born to die. And this happens every day. So that's the real experience of Mandukya Upanishad yesterday. So any questions on that, or is it clear, or is it confusing? Is it achievable or not achievable, or whatever it is? And this is for all the 4 of us. So this message, this experience, what I got, it was when all the four of us are sitting together, it came like that. So I thought about sharing that with three of you.
With your family, yeah?
No. Four of us. We four.
Is it? Oh.
Okay. Four of us sitting together, and I got this experience and thought about sharing with. In fact, I informed Lata yesterday, but if I had informed everything, then that interest wouldn't have been there. So I cut this portion off. I informed the second portion of it completely. The first portion I removed it.
Yeah, that's good. Suspense is needed.
Yeah, otherwise by now you would have thought, okay, this I know. So what needs to be done for all four of us is that we need to see it from consciousness. This is where the awareness is all about. If we are not doing that, then the problem is we will never experience deathless state. And if we don't experience deathless state, then you will never be realized. If you cannot be realized, then you cannot be liberated. No matter what we follow, whose ideology we follow or whatever we follow is not the main criteria. The criteria here is that can we replicate what happens in deep sleep while awakened? That's all what it is. So I'm done with the first part. If you don't have questions, then I'll go to the second part.
This experience, how you got suddenly that experience? Because you are talking continuously. You are talking not there. You are
Where?
not silent or doing anything.
Where?
Because your mind was working throughout. That I have seen. But how mind working and then also experience together?
This I cannot explain in words for sure. In fact, this happened while I was driving my two-wheeler with my wife to home. And I asked this question. As soon as I entered into the home, or rather, I was on the road. Yes, I had not even reached home. So I asked my wife, what grows? Is there anything called as growth? Then she started struggling and informing it from intellectual, this is what it is, from spiritual. Do you want from spiritual or do you want from intellectual? So I said, give it whatever way you want. If you want to give in intellectual, you can say. If you want to do it in spiritual, you can say. Whichever way. So then we removed the masks and then we started talking. So this experience happened while driving actually. Not even while I was sitting.
Mm-hmm.
So I possibly don't have any answer that how this happened. I can only say it happened.
So it is possible to happen. That much is a learning from here, right?
Yes,
For me.
it can happen in any state.
It can happen.
And I think I've shared with all of you that most of my...
It's like a jerk and engine starting.
Yes.
So your spiritual engine immediately started.
Yes, and I think I've shared with all the three of you that most of my experiences have happened on the toilet seat. All the five senses, out of the five senses, three senses I have experienced only on the toilet seat. And that vision came only there. So the best place for me to meditate is the toilet seat. If I were to take it in that way. So one guarantee thing what I feel is that it can happen anytime, it can happen in any state. It can, if you were to contemplate on that completely, it will happen. You should not stop contemplation. And what another thing is required for this to happen is that you should be
Sorry.
so you should be always in awareness. Then it works. So two things. One is that we need to have a contemplation, and two is that we need to have this mindfulness or awareness or whatever it is. And then only you will experience. Otherwise, you will not.
So you are able to do all that when you are not worrying about the future, right? See, we are all worrying by default.
Correct.
Level of that worry may be coming down, but when the worry stops, those things will
Yes.
kick off, right?
Yes, worry is a hindrance. So it will basically...
I have been observing you. You are not worried. You just wanted to know the status.
Yes. There's no point in worrying, because that worry is not existing in deep sleep state. So what I'm doing is I'm contemplating only on deep sleep. So I will put it like this. Is any relationship there in the deep sleep? No. Do I have a job in deep sleep? No. Do I have money in deep sleep? No. Do I have worry in deep sleep? No. Do I have anxiety in deep sleep? No. Do I have expectation in deep sleep? No. Do I have ill will in deep sleep? No. Do I have desires in deep sleep? No. Nothing of that exists in deep sleep. So, very simple. So I'm trying to basically mimic the state of deep sleep in waking state. Through awareness. So it is working. Any further trailing questions on that? Or can I move to the second one?
Yeah.
Okay, the second one again relating to all the four of us. There are three things what you can do in this life. One is that you can acquire Siddhi, both in material front as well as spiritual front. Then you can look into realization, who is you and what is you. And third one is that you can liberate completely, not arising again in any form. That means the consciousness.
You have to repeat this.
Yes. What I'm saying is that based upon what we discussed just now, the second insight what I got for four of us is that we have three things which we can do in this life, in the current life what we are in, with how much ever association left with us, with four of us, because we don't know when this association is going to end. So we can do three things in this association. Number one, we can work out for Siddhis, both in material world or the waking world and also on the spiritual world. Second one we can do is to realize who am I, just like what Ramana Maharshi did. And third one is that we can liberate ourselves from this samsara, not to arrive again in any of the forms. So consciousness can become pure and create siddhis. Consciousness can itself understand itself, and that becomes realization, atma jnana, And the third one is vimukti or mukti or moksha, wherein the consciousness ceases to exist as an individual. So these are the three things what we can do. And the problem with four of us is that we have not set the goal, what we want to be, or rather what we want to achieve. Do you want to achieve the Siddhis, both in the waking world or the loka and the non-waking world, which is spiritual? Or is our intention is to understand I, self-realization, Atma Jnana? Or the third one, vimukti or mukti or moksha, is the third one. These three.
Yeah, I will just repeat. The Siddhi is possible through pure consciousness, right?
No, yes,
And,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and then realize, you mentioned something.
Realization is who am I?
Hmm.
That is realization. And the third one is
See, the pure consciousness is a Siddhi. Okay, understood. Realization is another state. Or
Yes.
it is also same like
no,
Siddhi.
no, it is not a Siddhi. This is realization of who the self is, Atma Jnana.
Atma Jnana. Okay.
That's not a Siddhi. That is,
No, Atma Jnana, can you relate? See, pure consciousness is Siddhi. And Atma Jnana and consciousness, what is the relationship?
no, wait. So it's not pure consciousness what I said. I said with consciousness you can create Siddhi.
With consciousness. Yeah.
I will give certain examples, makes things easier.
Yeah, that will help me to understand.
Yes, on the material world of existence. Okay, so getting good marks in the exam, getting a certificate, doing higher studies, getting the job of one's liking, and striving hard for that, and then growing in the corporate ladder, and ensuring that all prosperity remains, is also done by consciousness, but the mind feels that it has done it. So it has created mental Siddhi. It's an achievement. The English,
Achievement. Yeah, I got it.
so the English term for Siddhi is achievement.
So, consciousness, hard work, and Siddhi. Correct.
No,
That's
no,
all
no, no,
balance.
no. Consciousness has done it, but the mind feels that it has done it. See, if you ask anyone who did this,
See, 1 minute. Now I have to score an exam.
yes,
Good marks.
correct.
There are two people. One person is studying, another person not studying.
Okay,
Studying person, hard work, consciousness gives the result. Good marks. Other person not doing anything. There is no hard work, and the result will be no Siddhi. That's the reason I have added hard work there. Right or wrong?
no, whether you added hard work or you did not add hard work, who is putting in hard work?
That is consciousness only, energy.
So that is obscure, that is not known. So the mind feels that it has put hard work, or rather the mind also doesn't feel it has put hard work. The ahankara, the I, feels that I have done it. Simple. So manas, buddhi, ahankara, chitta, four things. The chitta doesn't say, manas doesn't say, because it just projects what is there in the chitta, whereas the ahankara will say I have done it. Okay.
Yes, I have understood. I have understood here this way. When you have a lot of punyam, things will happen with the same hard work in a much better way. And when you have what you call the layer of negative thoughts or something around that, then things will not materialize. Even though you have studied, the questions will come from some other topic. So, based on papam and punyam, the consciousness will give the results.
No, the
it that way?
consciousness. No, the consciousness will not give any result. If you go by consciousness, neither it is positive nor it is negative. It is just consciousness.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one is the Siddhi, the achievement. The achievement is you can have an achievement in the material world of existence, or you can have the achievement in the spiritual world of existence. So when we come to the material world of existence, it is through the five senses and the mind and the ahankara or the ego. So what happens here is the person puts in hard work. The person whom we call as a person is the ego. Okay, there is no person actually if you come to spiritual, but it projects itself as a person. Now that person puts in hard work, and there is punya or papa or all that, you leave it. So then the person is putting in effort, hard work, whatever is required, and if it works, then the person takes that credit. He says that I did it. I passed IIT, or I surpassed this or that, or whatever it is. Like the appraisal in the organization, it is for the person, even though it is for the role. Actually, it is taken by the person. So when it is taken by the person, the appraisal is for the person. And he will feel elated if he is promoted, and he feels depressed if he is demoted. So now we are talking about Siddhi. So there is no demotion. So he is always promotion. So in the material world, you have happiness created out of that condition. This is called Siddhi in material world, where you prosper economically and socially and scientifically and all of that. You prosper. The prosperity, what is coming in, is Siddhi, achievement. So we can do these three things. What is one? Going behind Siddhi, that is achievement. Two, we can do is realization. Three, we can do liberation. So we have to evaluate and say what is that we are and what is that we are striving for. So if we are behind Siddhi, let's say achievement, so we spoke about the material Siddhi. Now we'll come to the spiritual Siddhi. The spiritual Siddhi is using the mantras and tantras and meditative process and all of that, rituals and everything, to create something from nothing. That is the Siddhi. That is the, can be mantra Siddhi or tantra Siddhi or yantra Siddhi. All those are Siddhi. All those are achievement done through these kind of process. Just like we have education as one of the process for material prosperity, and business and MBA and all of those which comes as part and package for material prosperity, we have something similar in the realm of spiritual prosperity with mantra, tantra and yantra. Okay, so these are prosperity which will help a being to enjoy, to create something out of nothing. So this person can create a gold out of thin air, or he can, just like Satya Sai Baba used to create something out of dust. So this is called Siddhi. From the
this is the Siddhi what you are referring to, this Satya Sai Baba or Sadguru when they talk and all that. So Sadguru is having a Siddhi of that Saraswati. He can speak things where others will believe. Satya Sai Baba can create even matter. He can convert into gold or anything.
Correct.
That means he can instantly do that creation, or it like a magic happens. Magic means I'm talking about the magicians, they do. Na? Is it really Siddhi? Is it possible to achieve that?
Yes, it is possible to achieve that, because
it's manifesting something based on your manas.
Yes, because manas is the one which is creating everything in the world. So using the same manas, The consciousness is the magician. It will create everything, including relationship. The relationship is created by the consciousness. So since this person doesn't know that there is something called consciousness, he believes in the mind, so he can create things out of the mind, because mind is able to reflect the consciousness. So he can manifest anything immediately. So just like one example I can give you is Madhvacharya. He was a small boy, and there was a creditor who came to his home asking for money, and his father didn't have any money. So this boy went and took the seed of tamarind, and then he said that I'll give you gold coins. And then he made the tamarind seed to look as gold to that person who came, and he was shocked, but it was pure gold. So he went and verified with the jewelry shop and all that, and then they said it is gold. So his father's debt was cleared. This one example I can give you. Like that, there are many examples. Like there is
so Kanakadhara Stotra, by Kanakadhara Stotra, Shankaracharya, something similar.
Yeah, Amla, that is
Yes.
the Nallikai.
Yes.
She gives the Nallikai. She's very poor. When he comes for Bhiksha, he gives the Nallikai, and then she says, I don't have anything with me. So that is when he recites it. That is what is the story. That's how the story was. That he recites
But,
the Kanakadhara, and every one of those Nallikai turns out into
Gold. But Vilas, is it true that when you have spiritual growth, you don't want to have the materialistic growth? Because that is like a opposite pole.
It's not like that. Like in the case of Sadhguru, or in the case of Sri Ravi Shankar, or so many other people, they are having both material and spiritual, right?
I think sometime you are telling, because these people, they possess this materialistic, that time there's a possibility that their finally the spiritual growth will come down, because the ego will start slowly building.
Absolutely.
Because they want to accumulate. You are telling, I remember.
Yes.
So that's the reason always we say we have a word. Na? Generally the people, spiritual seekers, are called Brahmins, and we have a word called Bada Brahmana always. That word Bada is for spirituality.
Correct. That is right. But then when there is riches, the person ends up working towards Siddhi only, achievement only, both in spiritual domain as well as in material domain. He'll just...
So we can maintain both balanced, right? That is possible.
That is correct.
But what we are doing is, we have not compromised on our so far on our materialistic related goals, but we are doing it in a sattvic way. But do we need to really stop? That is my question.
No, we are still in this Siddhi route. So let's first address the Siddhi route.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the Siddhi route, there are two Siddhis. One is on the material side and one is on the spiritual side. So on the material side, we discussed, and the spiritual side, there are three ways of doing it. You can have through yantra, tantra, and mantra. These are three types of spiritual Siddhis. And they are also treated as sadhana, because you are developing it. And if the consciousness works on the mind, then it can manifest whatever the person is interested in doing. So he will have a good life, both here and even after death. He will be born in heaven and all that, because he has that sadhana through mantra, yantra, and tantra. What is missing here is the yoga, and that is missing because that is not part of this. Okay, how in the second chapter Krishna talks about what is yoga. He says samatvam yogam uchyate. the balanced mind is what I call it as yoga. So when a being goes behind Siddhi, then the balance is lost. So the yoga doesn't come there. So it is only bhoga. So bhoga ishwarya. So that is what is the starting chapter of 16th. Daivasura Sampat Vibhaga Yoga. So then it really brings in the asura character into the divine. So this is about Siddhi. So this is the first event we can take, and we can set that as a goal. My goal is to have Siddhi. Absolutely fine. There is nothing wrong in setting that as a goal, because that is higher than the normal person or any person whatsoever in this world. This is more higher than any other person. So in that way, it is good to set a goal that I want to be proficient in Siddhi. Not the Siddha, it is Siddhi. Siddhi here means that you get the Vibhuti Yoga. So when we talk about the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, there is Vibhuti. So you have these merits which gives you fruits, and that is all Siddhi is all about. So Tantra, Yantra, Mantra. Question? No question? All okay?
I think Siddhi part is more clearer today.
Okay, so if the Siddhi part is clearer, we have 15 more minutes, so we can go to the self-realization. This is where the Bada Brahmana comes into picture. He sees what the reality is, that he sees that the magician here is the consciousness, not the mind. So he wants to understand the consciousness more than the mind. So he doesn't care about how he looks, what he knows, what he does not know, whether he has a job, doesn't have a job, whether he has a wife, doesn't have a wife, all of that. His interest is in understanding his own self, Atma Jnana. So when a person wants to get into Atma Jnana, he should be only with Atma, not with any material plane of existence, because they are distractions, they are hindrances. So what he generally starts doing is to donate, dana. Then he will create morality. So he'll create a Shila. And then he will create prajna of what things are happening. So then he is able to remove the taints in the mind, which is called as growth. So when the growth is removed in his mind, he comes to see that it is a consciousness which is making anything to grow, not that he is doing anything for growth. So if he sees a plant, or if he sees himself, if he sees a person, he sees anything, he is able to see that it is the consciousness which has taken part in that person. There is no real person there. Similarly with a plant, that the 5 elements have been picked up by the consciousness, not by himself. So then he chooses the world of self-realization, wherein he doesn't want any siddhis. If it comes, it's okay. Doesn't come also, he is least bothered, and he doesn't want to use any siddhis or talk about any siddhi, because they are real hindrance. Reason being, at the time of death, every day in deep sleep, the siddhis don't work. No matter if I have ability to manifest myself in hundreds of people and fly without any aeroplane and all that, let's say I get into that siddhi, and at will I can enter into any person or any mind, or go to any of the worlds or out of the world or whatever it is. Still in deep sleep, these siddhis don't work. So he sees that and then doesn't reject them, nor he goes in association with them. So both the extremities being removed, he is in samatva. So then he is a self-realized yogi, where siddhis don't torture him. So even if he has material comforts, he is not interested in that. He better vacates it, just like Ramana Maharshi did. Any person who does that is really a realized being. Any person who hoards in whatever name it is not a realized being, because there is attachment to it. So this is called self-realization. Anything to discuss on this? Here there are no material siddhis.
So what you are telling is the siddhi is not working when your mind and body is dissolved. Body is dissolved, at least, like a deep sleep. Mind is dissolved. So there is no. Don't attach anything to siddhi, your goal, and come away from there. And when you are away from there, naturally you are in the next stage, right?
Yes, correct.
So which means these Sai Babas and all these gurus and all those who are interacting with us, I can say they are Siddha Purushas when they were interacting. After that, they have gone to this stage. The next stage.
Yes, so if somebody is hoarding or somebody is doing something, the only thing he needs to realize is what does he hoard when he sleeps. If he hoards nothing, then in the waking state also he hoards nothing. And that hoarding nothing, doing nothing is what self-realization is, which then takes you to the third one, which is liberation. Because here in the liberation path, in the path of liberation, he doesn't have anything at all to say as himself, because that self is also merged. There is no self anymore, and hence liberated out of the self. So he merges with his own self, and hence liberated. So the Bhagavad Gita, 14th chapter, what we were doing, and then the Mandukya Upanishad, what we are talking on Turiya. And there is this Mandukya Karika, which we are supposed to start. All talk about this state when the self itself doesn't exist. That is silence. In the deep sleep, mind, the consciousness, individual consciousness called GV exists. Jagat is not there, Ishvara is there. In the Turiya state, only Ishvara exists, nothing else exists. And in the Brahman, even that Ishvara doesn't exist, because Ishvara is part of Brahman. He sees everyone as himself, and hence liberated. There is no self now. There is nothing called as I myself is staying here. I am staying as everyone and everything. So, and hence he is liberated. So these are the three stages or three goals or whatever we can keep. So now the question comes, what is that four of us wants to keep? That is what we need to decide. So first one is Siddhi, second one is Atma Jnana, third one is Purna Jnana, which is liberation. So what happens in all the three stages? That also I will tell you. First stage, when we are in Siddhi, things starts working, interest is there, lot of questions are there. Then the clarification comes in. In the second stage also, some questions remain, and when the questions are answered, there are no questions at all, only experiences starts to follow. Okay, and the Shrutis, whichever Shruti we are talking about, whichever literature we are reading, will become very clear in our mind. We don't require an interpreter or an interpretation given by anyone, including Shankara's Bhashya or whatever it is an interpretation. So you will not require any interpretation at all. And you will stop listening to any discourses also, because it makes no sense. Because you've understood what you have to do. And that's a time when you are definitely towards liberation. Sorry, not liberation, realization. And the result of that is self-awareness. So you get into that awareness meditation, which Lata got into some time back, and now she's not doing it. But if she were to continuously do it all the time, then she is self-realized person, because she has picked up how to do that. Okay, that is self-realization. And the third one is liberation. When the person doesn't see anything except for consciousness doing anything at all, and the person is gone, the relationships are gone, everything is gone, and the consciousness also is gone as an individual consciousness, then the result is liberation. So this is how we can evaluate ourselves also. Where are we? Okay, further more detail. In the Siddhi, when we are behind it, just like we look at different technology, different standpoint, different methodologies to work and implement it, strive hard and all that, and ultimately create the project successful, or develop the product, develop the services, develop the features, and deliver the project, and get more business, and all of that what we do in the material world, the same thing is done in the spiritual world through mantra sadhana, tantra sadhana, yantra sadhana, and through Gayatri, through chanting, through Sandhya Vandana Vidhi, through observances like Ekadashi and this and that, and all of it is related to Siddhi. So you become powerful. The mind becomes powerful due to its affinity towards consciousness.
Yeah, see, for this Siddhi, what you mentioned just now, whatever we are doing for the spiritual progress, dhyana and this pujas, which makes our mind clear, maybe Gayatri, japas, tapas, and all that adds value. Visiting places where we get peace of mind, etc. Right? And visiting gurus.
Correct.
So many things.
Correct.
Okay. It is not only just punya, it also adds value to spiritual growth.
Yes, it indeed adds value to spiritual growth in terms of the mantra, yantra and tantra. But they don't stay after midnight, after deep sleep state.
Yeah, because you have earned some punya and slowly it will again come back to that zero stage. That I understand.
No, yes, that goes away every day.
Which is gained out of puja and all that.
Correct. So that punya will get exhausted.
Yeah.
So this is.
But that punya will help to go in the right direction for spiritual growth.
Correct. That is also true. So this is about
satsangatva.
Correct. So we have created the first step. Satsangatve nitsangatvam. But that nitsangatva has not happened. So there can't be realization. You have to remove the sangha from outside. So the realization cannot happen. So satsangatve nissangatvam, nissangatve nirmohatvam, nirmohatve nirmalatatvam, nirmalatatve jivan mukti. So 4 stages. So the first step from a normal worldling who is just on kama abhilasha has come to siddhi, spiritual sadhana, and that is satsangatva. Then if he wants to move into the realization path, then he has to create nissangatva, so that the moha is gone, nirmohatvam.
So we are in the first stage, is it?
Yes, from that standpoint. Nischala tattva. Nischala is which doesn't move. So we have, that's the reason I asked the first question. What is growth? In consciousness, nothing grows. Because of consciousness, everything grows. So the nischala is consciousness. Chalati is the jagat. Then the jivan mukti happens. So again, coming back to all the 4 of us, we have to set the goal. What is the goal? First one, second one, third one. First one, it's all about acquiring siddhis. Beautiful, but it's better. Second one, it's all about tyaga. It's all about vairagya. It's all about giving up. Because then only you can see yourself. Otherwise it will not. So that's a second one. Third one is to give oneself up. The self completely. That is the Ishvara which is seen also have to be given up. Then nischala happens at the very moment. Then jivan mukti is the output of that. So 9:30 now. We couldn't complete it.
Yeah, I think we can continue tomorrow.
Yes.
Excellent. This one.
Okay, we will continue from where we left tomorrow.
Yeah. Yes. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Vilas. Bye.